I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today we are going to talk about my 2024 accomplishments and my goals for 2025. So let's get started. To begin with, 2024 has been a really difficult year for me, y'all. I'm not going to shy away from the nitty-gritty on this. This was a really bad year for me, just overall. And this really impacted the goals that I had for this year. But I do feel that even with the hardships that I had to face this year, I still did accomplish a lot, even though I didn't meet the goals that I wanted to meet. And so a lot of my goals that I had for this year are going to carry over into 2025. And I did have a period of time this month where I was really down on myself for not meeting these goals. I've pushed past that, and I'm really looking forward to being able to meet these goals in the new year. So what exactly made 2024 so difficult and just, quite frankly, bad? Back in December of 2023, I had a procedure which is called a colposcopy. This is basically where they take a biopsy of your cervix in order to test for cancer. That procedure in and of itself is horrible, y'all. My Christmas last year was the worst Christmas of my entire life. I spent it completely obliterated just to even deal with what I was dealing with. To get a little graphic here, I had literal dead flesh falling out of the inside of me because of the procedure. I was in an incredible amount of pain, and I was terrified waiting for the results. For those of y'all that don't know what a colposcopy is, how it works is they literally take chunks of flesh out of your cervix. But because, we live in the United States, our great medical professionals, for some reason, think that women don't need painkillers. And they tell you, and I'm not even kidding y'all, to just take some aspirin beforehand. And they don't cut the biopsy. They literally have these little grabber tool thing, and they literally pinch your cervix and just do this and just rip out pieces from you. That's what they do. It's incredibly painful and horrible. And I put my foot down and I was like, no, you will be giving me local anesthetic, which layman's terms means you will be numbing the area so I can't feel anything. And even still, I still felt it. I could still feel what was happening, but at least I didn't have completely blinding pain like I've seen so many other women describe because they didn't speak up for themselves, or they were lied to about what the procedure was and then went through that with just aspirin, which does nothing. So yeah, horrifying. Big thank you to my partner Neil for literally being in the room and holding my hand during that, because it was terrifying and it was horrible and it was painful and just all of the above. So then in January of this year, 2024, I got the results back from that test, and I was diagnosed with CIN2 cervical cancer. So there are 3 stages, 1, 2, and 3, of what's called pre-cancer. And basically what that means is these are cancerous cells that if you leave them alone to their own devices, they will turn into cancer. They will turn into like an actual problem. And this is so scary because this was pretty much like right on the cusp of, okay, if you wait any longer, this will turn into cancer. And being able to catch it that early was so important. But also, y'all, being told you have cancer is really, really scary. That was how I started off my new year, which meant that I then had to go back and get an even worse procedure. And this procedure, I was in so much pain, y'all. You know how in the movies when like a character will be in a big action scene and there's an explosion, their vision goes white and all they hear is that like ringing sound in their ears? That was me during this procedure. I was in such a blinding amount of pain that literally happened to me, where like my vision went white and my ears were ringing. And I was just like, this is how I die. This is how I die. I literally thought I was going to die. I was in so much pain. I've never been in that amount of pain in my entire life. And oh yeah, I was awake for both of these procedures, by the way. I was fully awake, fully aware, fully there. And I've had multiple shoulder dislocations. I have dislocated this wrist to where the back of my hand was touching my arm. Like that level of dislocation. I have dislocated both my hips multiple times. None of those. Even the shoulder dislocation I had where this shoulder, the bone, was sticking out under my skin. You could see it all the way up here. Terrifying. Disgusting. even that wasn't as painful as this, where literally, again, I had to put my foot down and be like, no, you are numbing the crap out of me. I am not feeling any of this. Thank you very much. And this time they were like, oh, the last injection we gave you was just on the side of your cervix. This one, we put it in the center of your cervix. I had no idea, y'all. I had no idea I could feel that level of pain, but I did. And even so, I'm so glad that I went through that level of pain in order to get the painkiller administered, because they literally cut out all the cancer, and then, so that I don't bleed to death, they had to cauterize it. And what that means is they had to take a wire, a red hot wire, shove it up in there and cauterize all the wounds, which means literally burn my flesh. Y'all, the level of like just how messed up those procedures are, and just being awake for all of that was really, really awful. Now, mind you, technically I did have the option to be put under for the second one when they removed the cancer. I did not have the option to be put down for the first one. I did have the option to be put down for the second one. And I will tell y'all that, in all honesty, if there is an option for me to be awake for a procedure, I will, because I have massive trauma and massive control issues where I don't trust being alone in a room with a bunch of strangers with my body. I don't. And the sad thing is that there are plenty of reports that show exactly why a woman shouldn't trust a bunch of medical strangers alone with her body while she's unconscious, because yeah, unfortunately, what y'all are thinking, that does happen. Don't trust that. I don't trust anybody. So I had to be awake for this stuff and take what painkillers that I could put my foot down and demand. It was so painful. It was so traumatic. Neil was also there holding my hand for the second one, going to bat for me, being a good partner. And it was traumatizing for him too. It was terrible all around. It was truly a testament to our relationship. But yeah, so that was how my new year started off. That was January. Okay. Woo! Starting off the new year. Horrible. Thankfully, then by the time that March rolled around, I had my follow-up appointment where they had to check everything again, and I was deemed cancer-free, so hooray for that. I'm still going to have regular checkups to make sure that it doesn't come back, but they did say that they got everything, and they don't think that there should be any reason for it to come back. Now, y'all might be wondering, well, how do you know it won't come back if it was there in the first place? Well, that was the fun I was dealing with back a couple years ago when my insurance company decided to change my medication 5 times in 1 year. I am fairly certain that is why I developed this cancer. 5 times in 1 year. For no reason other than their bottom line. One of the positive things that has come out of 2024 is in September of 2023, I was hired full-time by the corporation that I still work for. This was my, first full year working for them. They are absolutely fantastic. And I finally feel like I'm working at a corporate job where my skills are recognized and celebrated, and I feel respected, which those things are so important. And of course, most importantly, I'm being paid an awesome salary. Like, y'all, I've never made this much money in my entire life, to be perfectly frank. And so because of that, I'm able to afford all of these medical expenses that I've been dealing with, as well as big goal, not a goal for 2025, definitely a goal for 2026, or in case things go off the rails, 2027, but I am saving up for my own home. So yay for that. Yay for long-term goals. But because of my financial situation, I was able to, throughout this year, pay off all the medical bills for those procedures. So yay, that debt is taken care of. As of right now, I don't have future stuff that I have to take care of. Knock on wood. So the same month that I got the checkup and was told that I was cancer-free, unfortunately, I had another procedure that I had to deal with, and that's part of all of the being able to pay everything off. So this one's paid off too. In that this is a thing that I kind of knew was going to happen, but still, you hope it won't happen, even though you're like, yeah, this is probably going to happen. And that is that I have always had all 4 of my wisdom teeth. I didn't get them taken out in my 20s. That's a whole other story why. But I knew that one of them, the one on this side, up top. I knew eventually that one was probably going to have to be pulled, but I was like, I'm going to wait until they tell me I have to. I'm going to wait till it's a problem. And the reason why is I like to call it my mutant tooth. And that's exactly what it is. I actually have it in a jar on my altar because I'm like, no one believes me that like there's this crazy tooth until like the dentist surgeon guy like pulled it out of my face and he's like, oh my God, what is this? I'm like, yeah, dude, I tried to tell you. My wisdom tooth is a mutant tooth where it is like twice as long as it's supposed to be. Like it's like half the width of a normal wisdom tooth, like the surface area of like the tooth part. And it was like all crooked and it caused this weird gap between it and my molar next to it. So it was growing a cavity. So that's why I had to have it pulled because they're like, yeah, if you don't get this pulled, it's going to go up to your brain and kill you. And I'm like, super, super fun. So obviously I had to get it pulled. But the problem is that the root of that tooth was all the way up in my nasal cavity. That's how big this tooth was. The root was so much longer than it's supposed to be, like literally twice as long as a normal tooth. Y'all may be asking, how can I know that? I have an abnormally long tongue and I'm able to use it to like do things with the back of my throat and stuff, and I can also put it up inside of my nasal cavity, and I could feel the tooth protruding up inside my nasal cavity. The x-rays with the dentist proved that too. They were like, this is really bizarre. You should really have this taken out. This is so dangerous and weird. And the surgeon guy, I guess, was not in the loop on these communications and didn't know that. And I was so Novocained up, y'all. He gave me like 6 shots of Novocaine in my face. And I'm like, I can still feel it. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's in my nose. And he's like, you're crazy. And then he pulled it out and he's like, oh my God, it was in your nose. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. You think I'm just saying this for no reason? But yeah, I could literally feel it being yanked out of my nose cavity. It was a very weird feeling, y'all. I had a lot of stuff going on at the beginning of this year. It was a lot to deal with. So yeah, and thankfully that was super easy and I recovered just fine, and I got super lucky that I didn't get dry socket. I didn't get any sort of infection, even with the nasal cavity thing. Everything healed up. Somehow, I don't know how, isn't a hole in my nasal cavity from where that tooth was, so that's not like a passageway for bacteria to like get up into my nose and my brain and stuff, so that's all safe now. So I'm like much more medically safe than I was before with this horrible mutant tooth. So the first 3 months of my year, that was a whole thing. And then on top of all of that, past couple years, my best friend, Bryan, the co-owner of Cloud Orchid Publishing and Cloud Orchid Magazine, my bestie that I did all of those modeling tours with, was diagnosed with cancer. He was first diagnosed with head and neck cancer, and he went through the whole process, chemo and radiation, all of it, and was deemed cancer-free. And then it came back as brain cancer. And then, y'all, he beat that, okay? And then it came back this year in a different form of brain cancer. And he was on his way to beat that. And then he fell and fractured his spine. And I thought he was going to die. And y'all, we don't have the news yet of if he's beat this cancer or not. But he has healed from his spine fracture. Bryan is the strongest human I know. He is a hero, y'all. Trying not to get emotional here. Going through all that the past couple years with my best friend. Communicating with him and his wife, my dear friend Maria. They've been amazing at keeping me in the loop. And being there for Maria, it's been a lot, y'all. It's been very stressful. Wondering, if I'm going to get that call that I'm going to lose my best friend. And then, in April, speaking of just the hits keep coming. This is going to be hard, y'all. Bear with me. Many of y'all already know this because I made the announcement on his official Instagram. My baby Squishy died on April 11th of this year. He was my child. He was my last pet because I already lost Lady in February of 2021 and I lost Bunny in September of 2018. And they were there for me through some of the darkest times of my life. They were there with me through my divorce. They were there with me through the pandemic. They were there with me through countless breakups and other pieces of my life. Squishy was the last one. He was my special boy. He suffered from a condition called acromegaly, gigantism. You might be familiar with this via Andre the Giant from The Princess Bride. Squishy was the size of a dog. He was 35 pounds. He was the size of a human toddler. He was the sweetest baby in the world. I have never had an animal in my life love me the way he loved me. And he brought such joy to my life every day. At 2 in the morning on April 11th, I woke up to Squishy throwing up, which was not normal. He was not one of those cats that would throw up a lot. And I woke up and he couldn't breathe. There was something desperately wrong with him and he couldn't breathe. And my parents and I took him to the emergency room where we found out that Squishy's diaphragm had ruptured right down the middle. His x-rays were horrific, and I had learned how to read x-rays from how many times I had taken Lady to the vet and taken Squishy to the vet because both of them were special needs animals. The amount of money that I spent on them, the amount of vet visits that I took them to for all of their diagnoses, for all the tests, all the things to take care of them. And I knew when I saw that x-ray, I knew it was the end. His lungs were a third of the size, just all crammed up in his chest cavity because of just all of the internal damage. He couldn't breathe. And of course, as anyone does, you ask if there is anything they can do. The vet said no. The only thing they could have done was possibly repair his diaphragm. And she said that the chances of him dying on the table were extremely high. And even if he survived that, he would have months with a draining tube in his chest. And we would have to somehow deal with that. And if he didn't die of an infection or ripping the tube out or whatever, she said it would, not if, would 100% happen again, and it would be worse. That was not an option. That is the promise that I made to all of my babies that I've ever had. Quality of life, not quantity. And I would never keep them alive for my own selfish benefit. I would never force my babies to suffer just so that I could have them one more day. So I said goodbye. I held his little face in my hands, said goodbye to my baby. I've never had my heart so hurt in my entire life, and it still hurts. I'm really struggling to get through this, y'all. I'm sorry. I have days like this where I struggle, and I cry, and I grieve, and it's still so hard. And I knew this day would come. I didn't know it would happen like this. I never could have imagined it would be so dramatic and so horrible. I never imagined he would be in that much pain. So scared, because that was what broke my heart the most, was when I said goodbye to him. His little face was so scared, and he looked at me like, Mommy, why did you let this happen to me? It eats me alive, the guilt that I let my baby suffer. It eats me every day. His little face, and I miss him with all my heart. And the vet was kind enough. She granted my wish. And she let me take him home so that I could bury him next to Lady and Bunny and my babies from my childhood. But I do at least take comfort in that he didn't suffer long, that I was brave enough to do the right thing. And some people have commended me for being brave enough to be there and say goodbye to him and be there with him when he took his last breath. And I'll be honest, I don't understand how you couldn't. He was my child. I had to be there for him in the scariest moment of his life, no matter how much it hurt me. That's what you have to do. And I do take comfort in that he knows I was there. Unfortunately, life doesn't stop. Life doesn't pause for you when you're grieving. Life keeps going. And that same weekend was the Chicago Steampunk Expo that Neil and I had spent quite a large sum of money and time preparing for. And so we went. We couldn't cancel that last minute. And quite frankly, we couldn't afford to not go. There was no way to get the hotel fees and the con fees and the everything back. We had to go to this event. And it was so hard, y'all. Honestly, I don't even remember most of it because I just wasn't mentally there. I was on autopilot. It was really, really hard. And I'm so grateful that Neil was there for me. He really helped me through that. And of course, I'm so grateful that my parents helped me through that night. I don't think I could have done that by myself. But then, at the Chicago Steampunk Expo that very weekend, I got a call from Bryan and Maria, and this was after I had spent 2.5 hours getting into full cosplay makeup and dressed up and everything for this big event. So you can't cry in face, even though I'm kind of crying in face right now, but you know, we dab. We dab. And I found out that the same evening that Squishy died, my best friend almost died. He got sepsis and he coded. That was at the point where his cancer journey, the treatment was killing him faster than the cancer. And yet here he is today, having beat 2 cancers, well on his way on the 3rd, and healed from a spine fracture. And we're up to April, y'all. We're not even halfway through the year, and this has been my year so far. It gets easier after that, except for, of course, when I got that terrifying phone call from Maria that Bryan had fallen down the stairs. That was also a terrifying, horrible day. One that I never want to have ever again if we can all help it. This year was also a year where we only had a handful of events. So pretty much we only had 2 big events. The Chicago Steampunk Expo and RaptorCon. We had a handful of small one-day art and library events, and that was it. And the reason for that was because I was already dealing with so much with all of the medical stuff, with Squishy, with Bryan, and then just doing my best to keep up with this full-time corporate job that I have now. All of that was, as y'all can imagine, a lot. And so we were very limited on how much I could handle, as well as a lot of money went toward all those medical expenses, as well as I had to play financial catch up. And now that I finally have this full-time salary job that actually pays the bills, I had a lot of financial catch up that I needed to do because I was in poverty for 6 years. And that takes a toll, y'all. You have to make do. And I kept making do and making do and making do. And so a lot of money this year also went toward just basic stuff that I needed to replace that hadn't been replaced in over a decade, stuff that I just never had that I went without that I needed to get, just all of that stuff. And I'm talking about basic stuff, y'all. Like, we're talking about buying new underpants, buying new socks. I also invested heavily in all of this equipment that I have. That was the big ticket item that I got for Christmas last year. Was I got my big rig so that I could do my live streams and do all those fun big games and all of that. And so all of that took a financial toll too, was just getting caught up and being able to build myself up so that I could set myself up for success. Because having the ability now to realize my life goal of having my own home and saving up for that, once I achieve that goal, I'm not going to have the financial flexibility that I do now, that I'm going to have a mortgage and I'm going to have more utility bills and I'm going to have to save up for like home repairs and stuff like that. So this year it was very much also, let's get while the getting's getting good. So I also did some nice things for myself, which I hadn't done for myself in God knows how long. I bought a lot of nice things for myself, y'all. And when I say nice things, I'm not the kind of person that like has any desire to buy things like Prada and Gucci and just, whatever, all that kind of stuff. I don't care about those kind of things. That's not what I mean by nice things. I mean like this, what I'm wearing. An indie designer like My Violet, that I've bought myself some nice clothes, that I've bought myself some nice shoes, that I've bought myself, fun stuff like this. I've bought fun things that exist literally because they bring me joy. They don't serve a purpose. Just doing things like that. And, when we talk about, what exactly is the cost of these nice things, we're talking about things that cost anywhere from like $20 to $100. Like, we're not going crazy here, y'all. We're not going crazy. We're having like, small fun. And I also wanted to make sure that I gave myself that little hurrah this year, because that's a big thing that happens when people get a big sum of money, when they start getting a paycheck that is far greater than they've ever had before. When people win the lottery, a lot of people go into debt and even have to file for bankruptcy, because when you're just handed a ton of money that you've never had before, you don't necessarily know how to manage that, and it almost doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like real money. And I will admit that there were times where my paycheck felt like Monopoly money, just buy whatever, have a fun time. It did feel like that sometimes. And so to make sure that I'm able to make good financial decisions and meet my goal of being able to own my own home one day and saving up for the down payment, a big part of that was letting myself have the space to have this little hurrah, to buy dumb things, to enjoy myself. And going into 2025, that's going to be one of my big goals, is a big financial goal of, all right, we had our fun. We had our hurrah, we bought dumb things. Now we're going to knuckle down and we're going to get very, very serious about saving. This year I was still very serious about saving, but next year it's all of that fun Monopoly money that I've been playing with. All of that's going into saving up for the down payment on the house. There will be a percentage of fun. So that's one of my goals going into the new year, is working toward my big financial goal. One of the goals going into 2025 also is doing a lot more events than we did this year. Part of our goal with this year, with doing the events that we did, was a lot of them were events that we either hadn't done before ever, or they are events that I hadn't done since before the pandemic. And the reason for that is, as I've explained in other videos, we're basically trying to expand our network. And we can't do that if we just keep going to the same events over and over and over again. In my one video, why we're not attending WindyCon and Capricorn anymore also goes into more depth about why we're choosing not to go to some of the old events anymore and why we're focusing more on new, different events. Not so much hating on regular old events or anything like that, more so just that we're trying to shift our focus so that we can meet our goals. And unfortunately, the other big event that we had this year, RaptorCon, as I talked about in the video about RaptorCon, was a big goose egg. We made $0 at that event. It was a big bust. It was a lot of money for us. It was 6-hour drive. I nearly lost my marbles driving home because I was just so done. I was just so over it. And that's part of it though. Is that happens. Sometimes you lay a goose egg. And unfortunately, we laid a goose egg on that one. Hopefully, knock on wood, we won't have too many, if any at all, goose eggs for 2025, but we do have a lot of great events scheduled as of today for 2025. You can check them out on our social media handles. We'll be posting about them throughout the year so that you can mark your calendars, and I'll put a graphic here so that y'all can see that. But yeah, we're very excited about all these different events. And closing out this year in terms of the events that we did, and then also our work for online sales, it wasn't a great year for either of us financially. We put a lot of time and effort and money into these different ventures, and unfortunately 2024 just was no good financially. And it's not just us. It's been like that across the board. Other creatives that we talk to, not just writers, but artists, designers, musicians, clothing designers, just creatives across the board. 2024 was just a bad year for most of us. Just for whatever reason, sales were down, people were not buying things, people were not going to events, people who did go to events only spent their money to just go to the event and didn't buy anything at the event, or maybe they bought like 1 or 2 things and that was it. It was hard. It was hard financially all around in terms of our just sales from our books and stuff like that. So that was really rough, and we're hoping that 2025 will be better in that department, especially with the number of events that we're going to be doing. Those were all of the hurdles that I had to pass in order to get through this year. Those were all of the difficulties that I came up against, and that's why I really didn't meet my goals for this year. My goals were that I wanted to finish writing and editing and publish, get out there, my 7th novel, Be Mine. That didn't happen. I did finish writing the first full draft of the novel, and I'm currently working on editing it. I did spend a good amount of this year editing it, and I did hand it off to beta readers for them to read it as well, and received awesome feedback, and I've been percolating all that feedback in my noodle and incorporating that into the edits that I've been doing. But just with all of that and all the stress, and then also my day job now just takes up such a big chunk of my day, it's hard to just find the time to fit everything in. So that just really also put the brakes on a lot of these projects that I wanted to finish for this year. It's supposed to be we work a 9-to-5 job sort of thing, and unfortunately mine is more like 6 to 6, and that's not even an exaggeration. I work a lot of days where I work from about 6:30 a.m. to about 5:30, 6:30 p.m. It's rough, y'all. It's really rough. So yeah, that's very limiting on the amount of time I have per day to be able to do stuff. So just doing my best out here with the time that I have. Not necessarily every day is like that, but a lot of them are like that. And so just with less time on my hands, far more stress, all these hurdles that I had to go through. You can imagine that's why not as much got done as I was hoping to get done, but I still got a lot done. And one goal that I met for this year that I am very, very proud of, y'all. I need to emphasize how important this goal was. Inktober. Regardless of how you feel about Inktober, there's a lot of controversy around Inktober, and I respect and understand that. But this has just been a personal goal of mine since 2017. I have have been attempting Inktober every year since 2017, and I've never finished it, y'all. I've never drawn all 31 drawings. I've never completed it. And I was like, you know what? I just need 1 year. 1 year, y'all, okay? Where I finish all 31 drawings. That was all I wanted. I didn't care about, Inktober and like all that. For me, it was a personal achievement that I'm like, I just want to finally do this, to sit down and do 31 drawings. And I did. And of course, because I had to make it harder than it needed to be and require more time and effort than it needed, because why would I do anything simple? Why would I do that? Why would I make things simple for myself? I went full out, pulled out all the stops, went to the nines, and not only did I draw all 31 drawings, y'all, but also I got in full cosplay and recorded all 31 drawings. I did live drawing so that y'all could see all 31 of them, and they're all up on my KHR Arts YouTube channel. That was also for me too, that because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to have a real Halloween celebration this year, which is a holiday that's really important to me, and because of Bryan's journey, his health journey, I knew that the likelihood of us being able to have a Halloween together was very low. And then on top of it, I also then found out later on in the year that my mom wanted to have a big special hurrah for her birthday, and her birthday is at the beginning of November. So we took the trip to Disneyland. And unfortunately, that meant that we had to fly out on Halloween. So I had to give up Halloween for this trip. So I ended up not having a Halloween. So this was kind of my way to be able to have a Halloween and be able to celebrate, is just kind of celebrating all month long with doing all the different outfits and doing the Inktober drawings. And I am just so proud of myself that even when it got so hard, y'all, because y'all, I know some of y'all understand, because some of y'all do this, you understand the amount of just chutzpah that it takes some nights to be like, all right, I have put in a full day of work at my corporate job, okay? I am already so tired and just done. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna sit down at our vanity and we're gonna put on face, and then we're gonna get all dressed. And even before that, I have to plan out all the outfits. When I have time, I have to sit down and I have to be like, all right, here's the whole outfit. I'm gonna put it all together and put it over here so that then when it's time to actually do the thing, I don't have to think, I just put it on. And I would do that. I would plan out 3 outfits at a time just to help myself. And just that I didn't completely lose my mind, y'all, because this would have taken way too long. I did not do 31 different looks. I did not. That was not happening, okay? That was too much. That's a whole other challenge, is the Halloween makeup challenge, where people do 31 different looks, like makeup and cosplay, 31 different ones. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm never doing that challenge. I don't have anything to do that. I don't have the time or energy or patience. I'm sorry, I'm never taking on that challenge. The fact that Inktober was this hard for me, I can't even imagine how hard that would be for me. Just no. But I did my own modified version of it, where I would do about 3 to 4 drawings per outfit. And that also helped to make the videos more interesting too, as well as it was fun for me, get in an outfit, do a few drawings, and, call it a night. And that was the other thing, is I do have that disclaimer on those videos of the drawings that I cheated. And I technically started at the end of September starting off the drawings, and I did more than 1 drawing a day. And part of that is because realistically, I knew there is no way that literally every single day I'm going to sit down and do 1 drawing. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do that with literally anything, to be like, okay, every day we're going to sit down and we're going to do a thing. No. There are some days where my life is crazy bananas, and I'm lucky if I eat like a normal human and get enough sleep to function. There are some days where I'm crazy bananas, not functional, y'all, and I am in half pajamas with business sweater on and my pajamas and slippers, and I look like a lunatic, and my boss is like, you good? You good? There are days like that, y'all. So thinking I'm gonna draw every day, no. There was no way that was happening. So I was like, we're doing modified Inktober so we can meet this goal. Yay me. But I had so much fun doing that, and I feel so proud of myself that now I have that sketchbook where I can flip through it, and I'm like, look, y'all, I did all 31 drawings. I did it. Yay me. So that is the big goal that I met for this year. And it wasn't necessarily a 2024 goal. This was a big goal that I've been attempting for several years. So to have that is a big check mark off my list, because I did the thing. I'm never doing it ever again. I'm sorry. I will never do Inktober ever again. I can't. The amount of effort that took. No. No, thank you. I did it. Yay, the end. So I did accomplish that. I did finish the first manuscript for Be Mine and am in the thick of doing the edits. I did not get any zippity-doo-dah amount of work done on book 1 of my fantasy series. Big sad on that. With everything to be expected. Fortunately, I made 0 progress on doing any more tabletop gaming guides, so sad face for that. And I technically met my goal of wanting to do more drawings this year vis-a-vis Inktober, but, you know, outside of Inktober, no, I didn't draw anything. Kind of sad face on that. I still did drawings this year, but, you know, it was for a singular goal. I didn't do anything just because I wanted to, so there's that. And I did completely fall off the wagon with doing my live streams. And that was kind of a combination of something has to give in that I only have so much sanity and so many hours of the day. And on top of it, one of the big things that I've been struggling with, y'all, is squishy is such a big part of my brand all across the board. Here with my author stuff, when I go to conventions, when people just see me being a person, whether it's as a model or an author or, you know, a streamer or however it is that they know me, Squishy is just right there with me in that branding. And he was a huge part of my live streaming for my gaming. And I've kind of been afraid to go back to live streaming because people are going to ask. Not everybody necessarily knows what happened. Most people do, but not everybody. And I'll be honest, I'm not ready for that yet. I do want to get back to live streaming next year. I have no idea how I'm going to make that happen. I have no idea how I'm going to magically pull more hours and more sanity and more energy out of myself. I don't know how I'm going to make any of that happen, but it's something I want to do. We'll see how realistic that want is, but I'm still going to need time because I don't have the emotional armor right now to deal with people coming into the chat and asking where Squishy is. And the last thing I want to do is cry on my live stream. Because with this, y'all, like this video, I can stop and I can edit stuff out. I can't do that with a live stream. I mean, I could just shut the live stream off, but like, I don't want to have to do that. So I need more time to grieve. I need more time to heal. I mean, I'm already, you know, getting all emotional again. It's going to take more time. I'm not ready yet. Unfortunately, that's also a goal I didn't make this year in that, you know, I had this goal where I wanted to take a short hiatus from live streaming so that I could focus on my writing project and then come back to it. And then I just didn't for obvious reasons. So that is one of my things, is I do want to get back to that. There was a financial milestone that I wanted to reach for this year for saving up for the house. Unfortunately, it came very close to that. I didn't get there. I didn't meet that goal, but I came very close to it. But considering all the everything financially this year, I think I still did a pretty good job. So there's that goal that I didn't meet for this year. And then, unfortunately, I also did not meet my goal of having this channel or my KHR Arts gaming channel monetized. Neither of those got monetized this year, so also did not meet those goals. Sad about that. But funny enough, my Instagram got monetized. So that was kind of a nice, you know, one nice thing out of left field that happened. And, you know, when I tell you all that got monetized, like we're talking, I make like $5 a month right now. Like that's the level of monetization that I have on there. So don't get all excited about it. Like I'm making pennies on the dollar with the monetization on there, but it's something. It's a start. It's something. We'll see where that goes. And speaking of where that's going, what's so funny is out of nowhere last month, I put a post on my Instagram, didn't think much about it, just kind of was like, teehee, I'm going to put this on here, see if people like it. I don't know, whatever. It was this book dragon that I bought and that I had seen on like other Bookstagram people had. And I was like, I want this. I need this in my life. And it's this like 3D printed dragon that's like a bookshelf thing. You like stick it in between your books and it's this giant like flame that a dragon is breathing like into the books, and the dragon looks like it's like flying, and it's very fragile. It's very fragile, but it's very cool, and it's like held up by the books. There's like a little like slot thing that you put in between the books, and that's what holds it up. And I was like, this thing is so cool and I love it, and you know, I have it now. I'm part of the cool kids. Yay, post. This is the first post that I've ever had go like super viral. And I know everybody says that. Everybody throws around the word viral. This really went viral, y'all. As of today, that post has over 5 million views. I'm pretty sure that's more than like any of my posts on my entire Instagram have ever had combined. 5 million, just out of nowhere. And the two things that were most impressive, like I know, like, wow, 5 million, that's really impressive. And it is. But the thing is it was on like the dumbest post in the world. Like, really, this of all things went viral? Okay. But the first thing that it helped, it finally fixed my Instagram. As y'all have probably seen in my other videos that I've put out this year about this, I've been complaining about how Instagram has just been this slow death for me with just 1 to 3 unfollows every day. My account just dying, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I don't know what to do to fix it. Nobody knows how to fix it. Like, I've asked everybody under the sun, and they're like, I don't know. This fixed it. I got hundreds of followers, like, practically overnight because of this. Like, don't get excited. I don't have, like, a bajillion followers now or something. But not only did I regain my 10K status, I now have more followers than I did before the slow death started, as well as the engagement on my account, just overall across the board, has started to finally go up again. Because I'm fairly certain that I was some level of shadow banned or something for God knows what reason. And it's finally starting to, like, break out of that. You know, of course, knock on wood, we'll see if that continues. We'll see if it, you know, turns around and goes back to the slow death. I don't know. But at least for now, we are further than we were when we started. Because, I mean, that's why is growth not happening? And then suddenly magical growth. Yay. So that helped fix my Instagram account. But then the more important thing, of course, because I love supporting indie designers and I try to do my best to make sure that, like, I tag everybody when I have a thing. And of course, I tagged the designer that made the dragon. And she reached out to me. And I don't want to share the exact message because it's very personal and that is her business. But that post directly impacted her business significantly. Like, she got so many orders because of that post. And the personal message that she sent me blew me away, y'all. Like, oh my God, my heart. I feel like I've done my good. I've done my good deed for the year. And the funny thing is I feel like I didn't even do anything. I just threw up a random post and tagged a thing. And I'm like, you know, like, I didn't even go out of my way to do a good. And I did a good. What's so important is when you support indie designers, when you support small businesses, and then the biggest, most important thing, make sure you tell people. Like, just me posting that dragon would have done nothing for her as the designer if I hadn't tagged her. And not only that, I went out of my way when people would comment asking, where do I go to buy this? I would tag her so that then she could talk to them. It's not hard, y'all. It's really not. And really, that is the secret sauce. And Neil says that over on his YouTube channel and all across his social media just constantly, is that we need help. We as creators need help. We need y'all to please go out there and tell people, hey, I really love this creator that does blah, blah, blah. Tag them in your posts. Tell people about it. When people ask about, like, oh, this book, please tell them who actually wrote it and, like, give them the website or give them their social media handle, just something. Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen posts that people make where, you know, they post some art or they post a book or they post whatever and they don't tag the creator. And it's like, this helps nobody. Please don't do that. Please. It's very easy. It takes 5 seconds to tag somebody and it makes literally all of the difference, y'all. Literally all of the difference. You never know when something might blow up. You never know what other eyeballs are looking at it and not necessarily commenting on it. Please take the time to credit people. It really does matter. So yeah, so those are all the accomplishments and all the hurdles that we've had for 2024. It is now December 21st. I am currently going through the gauntlet of getting through the holidays, y'all. It's crazy bananas. I have so much work to do, both for my corporate job, for me, just all the things. I'm doing my best to juggle all the things. Goals for 2025. No surprises here. Finish and publish my 7th novel, Be Mine. That goes without saying. At least get started on book 1 of my fantasy series. I would very much love to finish the first draft of the manuscript. I would love that, but I am going to attempt to be a smidge more realistic this year with the amount of time and sanity and spoons that I possess. So we're going to start on it, and it would be nice to finish it. Finish the rough draft. We're not even talking about editing. We're not talking about illustrating, because that one is going to be fully illustrated. And of course, there's no way it's going to be published in the same year, because y'all, it took me 2 years to illustrate Geisha Hands, and that's been back when I had all the time to do stuff. So I don't know how long it'll take to do this book. So we will see. But at the very least, I want to get started on it, and it would be nice to finish the first draft. So fingers crossed on that. We'll see where we get on that. I want to get back into writing tabletop gaming guides. I really enjoy doing that. I had a lot of fun with it. It also was a great exercise for me in just really thinking about, how to stretch my imagination with different topics. So that is something that I want to get into again. I don't have any specific goal for how many I want to do, because again, I have no idea the bandwidth that I'm going to have for next year, but I at least want to finish one. So that is my goal. I at least want to completely finish and publish one. We'll see how many after one we can do. Of course, I very much want to get at least my KHR Arts YouTube channel monetized. That is the one that is closest to being monetized. I very much want to get that channel monetized. I would love for this channel to also be monetized. I would love for both to be monetized. But the KHR Arts gaming channel is much further along than this one. And that's okay. Different goals, different rates, but it would be nice to get both monetized. And last but not least, I want to get to the point, at some point, I don't know when, but some point in 2025, where I can start live streaming again. I don't know what that'll look like. I don't know how many days a week I'll be able to do it. I don't know how long the session will be. I don't know when next year I'll finally feel ready to do it again, but I do want to get back to it. That is a big, important goal for me. And then the, asterisk final goal for 2025. And this is one that I have been working on for the past several years. It's my hardest goal, and it's one that I have to continually work on. It's the one that I have to carry this goal every year. It's not one that I can check off the list. This is not a check off the list goal, but I need to figure out a way to make more time for myself and to be nicer to myself. I know that sounds kind of schmaltzy, but to be perfectly honest, a big part of how I'm able to accomplish all the things that I accomplish every year, I do not take time for myself. I don't do things for myself. And I'm very mean to myself. Like, I had that realization in therapy the other day, and it just stopped me in my tracks when I realized it. I am really mean to myself. And what that means is, like, it does not occur to me to do nice things to myself. I see them as an inconvenience. And even something so simple as the act of taking a shower, y'all, it is a battlefield when I take a shower. Like, I am so mean to my body. I am thinking such mean thoughts of just, I need to hurry up. Why is this taking so long? This is so stupid. I'm not thinking about, like, being nice to my body. I'm not thinking about seeing this as an opportunity to, like, recharge. No, it's just aggressively assaulting myself with soap. That's a shower for me, and it's very intense and it's bad. And I need to stop being like that. Those are my goals going into 2025. We'll see how many of them we can accomplish in the new year, but I am really confident that we will at least make some sort of accomplishments, because that's just the kind of person I am. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. I know it was a long one. I know it was a tough one. Thank you to all of y'all that made it to the end. I truly appreciate it. Can't wait to work on all these things and share them with you in 2025. And please do, in the comments, tell me about your goals for the new year. So please have a safe and fun holiday, and please make good choices for New Year's Eve, and make sure that you make some realistic goals for 2025. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.